perfect.
That's good.
I was just talking. It was really good.
That was natural.
This is why. This is good. This is good. Today's episode is a powerful one. We got Paul, ex-military, always positive, and a bit of a role model. Every time you come in to the barbershop, you have this really positive attitude about you. It always gets me going. If I'm having a bad day, if I see Paul, I better be fired up.
Sit, boom in the room.
There's no excuse.
No excuse.
And you do some amazing work with Andy's Man Club.
Yeah.
Charity around men's mental health and suicide awareness and how to spread the word.
Yeah, and I sort of couple this with being a personal trainer now. I've recently left the world of consulting.
Yeah.
And I'm now picking up where I left off several years ago, a career back in personal training. So personal training, mental health, and general wellness, I'm stepping back into that industry.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us on Chop and Chat. Let's get into the questions.
Looking forward to it.
Your hair's looking good.
It's not too bad, is it?
We just
I don't know the barber.
hair. Good one.
Thank you, Seth.
I've just done your hair, and it's time to get into it, right? Okay. So can you take us back to the beginning? You were in the military. What led you to join the military, and what was going through your mind at that time?
To be fair, Seth, many years ago, 1984, bit of a whim really. I lived in a sort of down and out town, Oswestry, in Shropshire on the North Wales border, and unfortunately there was no industry, there was no apprenticeships, there was no real prospect of work. So I had a friend who had already joined the Royal Navy, and he was home on weekend leave and mentioned to me while we were having a drink in my father's pub, why don't you join the Navy? So out of the blue, on a Sunday evening, I approached my mum and dad and said, guess what guys, I want to join the Navy. I want to go and see the world. I want to sort of venture out and discover what's really out there and generate and get myself a career.
Yeah.
So that was the real reason why I joined the military.
How old were you then?
I was 18.
18.
And sort of previous to that, I was doing a youth training scheme where the government would give you £25 a week at the time, and then you'd do 4 days at work, and then you'd have a day at college or getting further education to gain some qualifications while you were sort of awaiting the prospects of landing a job.
Yeah.
So that coupled with working within my dad's public house, sort of introduced me to the world of work, if you like, but also it sort of brought me close to people, understanding people, how they tick. And I would say that served me as a bit of an apprenticeship anyway to go ahead and join the military.
Yeah. Okay. What surprised you the most when you first joined?
I think the main thing was that straight away, I mean, my intake, they call it basic training, the basic training intake was a class of 40 to 50 young men at the time, and basically you were thrown at the deep end, and these people were from all walks of life.
Yeah.
And straight away you were into discipline. For them, the instructors, to get you to become a sailor or any member of the armed forces, they need to transform you and transition you from a civilian into a member of the armed forces. Yeah. So it's a culture shock. It really is a short, sharp shock, but for me it turned out into a longer shock because I ended up doing 32 years in the military. But straight away, there's no sort of niceties of being able to go to the pub on an evening or venture out and do gaming or go out and do other forms of socialising. Yeah. You are in a regimen. You're in a structure. You're in a sort of controlled timetable of events. Yeah. So straight away, from the moment that you arrive, in this case down in Plymouth, you are being one, you're being assessed, but actually you're giving a structure and a tasking. So straight away, they'll take away your civilian clothes. Straight away, they'll shave your head to a number 1 or a number 2.
Yeah.
Get rid of your
So
long flowing
everybody's the
locks.
same.
Everybody's the same.
Doesn't matter where you come from.
Doesn't matter where you come from.
That sets the standard straight
Sets
away.
the standard
Yeah.
straight away. Everybody's on a sort of equilibrium, if you like.
Yeah.
No exceptions. Now, you
Yeah.
might have some older members of your intake.
Yeah.
You'll also have some members from, former prospective professional footballers that haven't made it due for whatever reason, didn't make the grade or suffered an injury. You've got people that have decided they've had enough of normal civilian life and they want to sort of follow the military way of working.
Yeah.
So a real cross section of people.
Yeah.
And you've got the instructors there. You'll have what we call a leading hand and a petty officer. They'll be in charge of you and they'll ensure that you get from task to task to task.
Yeah.
And straight away you are hitting the ground running. You're getting sort of given circuit training down the gymnasium. You're doing fitness 1.5 tests or multi-stage fitness tests, the bleep tests, straight away just to assess you and baseline you to see where you've come in at the first week. So they'll do a reassessment towards the 6th or 7th week to see how far you've come.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you saw somebody struggle, you have to help each other, right?
That's it. So straight away you sort of get an instant sort of comradeship.
Yeah.
Straight away you get a connect.
Yeah.
Or some people don't connect, and that's when you need to be self-aware enough to see and witness somebody struggling. And that is a good thing, really, in your favour. If you're there receptive and there to, assess people as a candidate moving forward, then that way there stands you in good stead anyway, because ultimately it's a team game.
Yeah.
You're not there alone. You're not getting assessed on your own merits.
Yeah.
If you're helping other people along as a part of the team, because it's all about collaboration, then that is really favourable. But also you're helping your fellow candidate out of a pickle, and who's to say that there'll be something you struggle at that they're going to be good at. So it's not negatory. You can help each other out, and that's the beauty of being thrown together with 30 to 50 other sort of people. We're all on the same curriculum, you're all on the same path, and working as a team is a better way of doing business.
Was it easy for you?
Well, I was sort of had a strong acumen to sport, and because I come from a sort of a publican's background, my mum and dad owning a public house, I already sort of was able to suss people out a little bit.
Would you say it was a not sort of tough upbringing, but it was
structured, because straight away you were working for your mum and dad, bottle clearing up and stocking the shelves and talking to customers. So straight away you've got that sort of mode of communication verbally, but also by watching and learning. So that for me was not a struggle being thrown at the deep end. So I didn't suffer from homesickness or anything like that, because one, I was used to people. 2, I was used to communicating, and 3, I was just receptive to learning. So I kind of fitted in more or less straight away. I'm not saying it was easy, because it wasn't, because being put under duress physically and mentally, doing something that I didn't know, that's when the sort of, I wouldn't say struggles, but that's where the challenges came.
Great. So was there a moment where early on that shaped you, that made you think, okay, I want to stay here, I want to do this for long?
Do you know what? It's a great question.
Or a person who made you...
Or an event or an activity, and there's a bit of both.
That ties into my next question about how importance of role model
exactly
we have in this society, and if you had any sort of experience like that at all.
There was several events at that point in time, but one stands out, and it's a great question, because there's always a moment, there's always a happening that can shape your life and pathway. For me, it was on the assault course. There was an assault course, as you'd expect in the military. And basically, it was a rope going from one point to another across a would-be ravine. Obviously, it's not a ravine, but it's like a scenario. It could be a ravine. And you had to tiger crawl across the rope, on top of the rope, with all your kit, rucksack, in your fatigues, in your boots, having already undertaken a few obstacles around the obstacle course. And this particular obstacle, the tiger crawl or the rope walk, or the rope crawl, was the penultimate obstacle. And you had to, fatigued, having done 3/4 of the obstacle, or 85% of the obstacle course, you had to get yourself across, I would say, a 50-meter traverse from one point to another. First of all, you had to go up a rope ladder, and then get yourself on top of the rope, and then shimmy yourself across to the end point to come down the other side, and then continue on the obstacle course to go to the finish line. And it's not a case of waiting for the next candidate. You're all doing it together to get across, and I think it can take a maximum of 4 people. But if somebody ahead of you comes off and you're on the rope, halfway across, and they come off, obviously it's going to, lessen the weight, and it'll spring you off. Yeah. On a couple of occasions going through on the first instance, I got sprung off and I couldn't understand what had happened. So I actually eventually fell, and you have to start on that one obstacle again.
Yeah.
And bearing in mind, you're tired, you're fatigued, you're shattered, you're soaking wet because you've gone through water jumps and so forth. So you have to muster the strength to get back up to the starting point again of that particular obstacle, and get across that tiger rope walk. And I did that after getting sprung off, and I got sprung off again. Somebody else had fallen off ahead of me, and I thought, bloody, I'm struggling because I'm really, really getting tired now. And the instructors piped up, said, "You can do it. Just show a bit of grit and determination. You'll do it. Persevere with it. Take a deep breath. Get yourself composed. Get yourself ready, and go again." And having that sort of direction and guidance from the petty officer instructor, and having the faith, or keeping the faith with his instruction, guidance, and sort of inspiration, I got across. But without that sort of guy, that instructor telling me that, I wouldn't have made it. No way, no two ways about it. And having done that, it was a sense of achievement getting through the other side of that. So if you like, he coached and mentored me through that duress to come across that obstacle. So straight away, in my eyes, I considered him and trusted him as a role model. And that's where I underline the element of trust. So straight away, coming to something I wasn't proficient at, having not done it before, I had faith and trust in that individual
that you can do
nudge
it.
Me across, and actually prove to myself that I could do it. So straight away, my instructors, I consider them role models. And listen to their direction, and ultimately that's why they were there in the first instance, to get all the recruits through and not just me.
So that brings me to the next question. How important do you think role models are in today's society? And
what, for young men? For young men and the younger generation?
And do you think young people today are lacking strong role models?
It's another great question.
It's a very tricky question, because nowadays, everybody wants to showcase their individuality, and they don't want somebody telling them what to do. But there is a fine line between a role model and what do you think about that?
So it is a good question. It's a great question, in fact, because ultimately, in this day and age of digital devices and social media, it's far too easy to get influenced down the wrong pathway. So having the right role, I wouldn't say the right role model, but who you consider to be a role model is kind of pivotal. Whatever your interests, whatever your aspirations in life, we all need somebody to guide us through. And it's too easy nowadays to sort of rely on the digital mode. But if you can see somebody that really stands out, whether it be on the TV or on a streaming device or whether it just be down the street or within a school, a college, or an activity such as football, rugby, hockey, horse racing, whatever it is, then that will give an opportunity for you to sort of make a bit of a judgment of who you consider as a strong role model. And something that underpins that is probably your upbringing and your morals, your standards and values, and how you consider yourself to be and how you consider that prospective role model to be. There'll be a striking of a chord that hits the mark with you. It gives you the connection to think, do you know what? I get that. I like that. I can see myself going down that same pathway. So it's one of those elements, what you're exposed to, who's doing this or doing what, to make you think, well, that inspires me. I'm going to take that pathway. For instance, for me, your next question, without putting a question into your mouth, would be, who do you consider strong role models? The likes of a Freddie Flintoff or the likes of a David Beckham or an Ian Botham. They're all sporting stars, but for me, I'm really got a real strong interest in sport, but it's the way they convey themselves within that sport and what they do outside that sport that really hits the mark for me personally as a role model that, you know, I respect. And ultimately, I'll underline that word respect. If there's something that somebody's doing that you respect, then straight away they're going to be highlighted as a bit of a role model. So that comes back to one of the values that I sort of follow, if you like. Respect everybody that's around you, but also respect people that are taking the opportunity and got the platform to convey a message that, do you know what, I can relay that same message.
So respect is really important to you.
Massive.
Is there a lack of respect nowadays?
I would say so. Ultimately, we're all equal the way I see it, the world according to me, Paul Buckley, because ultimately we're all breathing the same air. So, but that's my outlook. And everybody is in the same boat to a certain degree. You should be respecting each other. And working together. You know, it costs nothing to be polite or show courtesy or consideration. It's not a case of just getting a real buzz out of that. It's just called consideration for a fellow human being. But that's me, and everybody's different. I hasten to add, it's not just the world according to me. Everybody is an individual. I recognise and respect that. So it's a case of learning along the way. Learning from experience, learning from shortfalls and shortcomings. Because do you know what? That's not a negative happening. That's an opportunity to learn from that said instance that is deemed as a failure, so-called failure, but it's not. It's a learning from experience opportunity to actually move yourself forward. So respect is kind of paramount, really. There's never a day where you can't understand and learn something new. There just isn't. You know, and that's what makes the world tick. And, you know, we're social animals. Whichever way you look at it, we are animals. And we're social animals at that. So having social interaction with each other, it's a powerful element.
Yeah, well said, Paul, well said. So the next question, Andy's Man Club, mental health charity, what was your first experience like with them, and why did you decide to join them or go to the group meeting, or how did you get involved with them?
So I got involved with Andy Mann's Club at my place of work. And part of my place of work, we had a mental health and wellness committee. And there was an opportunity for Andy Mann's Club to come and give us a bit of a seminar of what they do. And in this day and age, you know, we've already touched on it on the sort of, you know, who do you consider role models for young men and for youth in general. The Andy Mann's Club is an opportunity for men to go along generally on a Monday evening, when Monday is deemed a bit of a miserable day. It's the start of the week. Nobody likes Mondays and so forth. But it gives an opportunity in various areas across the UK, and it could be at your local football club, it could be at a local cricket club, youth centre, conference centre, whatever the facility, for men with no pretense, no sort of barriers to go and talk to other men and just connect with no pressure.
Yeah.
So that struck a chord with me, because ultimately it's an opportunity just, with no airs of grace, just to talk one-to-one, whether it be sport or just to go and listen to other people talking and just think, I want to be part of this, because I want to be socially connected, but also I can convey that message of getting men to talk, because as we know,
Men
the
struggle.
percentage, men struggle,
Yeah.
the highest percentage of male suicide is through the roof. And half the time, if you can just get one male or one man talking to a fellow man that's experienced similar problems,
Yeah.
then you're preventing them causing harm to themselves or others. Then that's a great opportunity, or a great facility
Yeah.
to be able to offer to young men,
Yeah.
young men and the youth. But also, it's not just sort of focused on men. Females do go, women do go, because ultimately they want to go with their partners or whatever. But it's not to say that they must go. That it's just one of those. It's an open door. It's an open door for people to go and chat, talk things through, air the problems, and a problem shared is a problem cared with. It just is. So that's why I struck a chord, and I went to a couple of meetings, met some great people, learned new stuff, new new happenings, new events, new podcasts, and so forth. So it's a forum there. So actually, for an hour and a half a week, to get away from your normal sort of run-of-the-mill happening in life, and get out of it and have an opportunity just to talk something different with a fellow human, but a fellow man at that. So, you can talk about things that generally you'll more often than not understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. What would you say to someone who's on the fence about reaching out?
it's a great question.
Yeah.
It's a great question, because I've actually been in that position.
Because that's the first hurdle, isn't
It's
it?
the hardest hurdle, right, for anybody, right?
Yeah.
Is for people to hold a hand up and actually accept for themselves that they need help, assistance, support.
Yeah.
It's hard, and that's part of the Andy Mann Club sort of connection for me, because ultimately, this day and age and life is busy.
Yeah.
You're getting inundated with being pulled left, right in Chelsea. You're getting alerts on your phone. The pressure of work with the cost of living and so forth. There's no respite. There just isn't a respite. And before you know it, you're getting hijacked. You're getting hoodwinked. You don't even see it coming until often it's a bit too late.
A bit too late. Yeah.
It's a bit too late. So having the guts, the courage, and the awareness to raise that and say, I'm feeling burnt out. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling as though I can't cope. I've reached the end of my road. To raise that hand, it's brave. It's courageous. Do it, because in an instant, as soon as you start raising that hand and speak to somebody, you'll feel a sense of relief.
Yeah.
You'll feel that cloud lifting. I've seen it with people that have reached out to me when times have become too hard or overwhelming for them, both professionally and on a personal basis. They've raised a hand, and invariably that saved a life.
Saved their life. Yeah.
It saved a life, and it's not a cliche. Being there for somebody, actually, witnessing somebody and assessing somebody, they might need help, but ultimately it's got to come from that said person to raise the hand. And anybody that raises the hand, for me, they're the bravest, most courageous person out there.
Yeah.
Because it takes a lot of guts to do it.
Yeah.
And once they've done that, do you know what? Then it's salvageable. Then we can provide and look at solutions, guidance, help.
Yeah.
And a problem shared is a problem cared that we can do something about. But if it's behind the closed door, if it's retained, then we can't, well, people out there can't do nothing about it. And there's plenty of support groups, not just Andy Mann's Club, plenty of support organisations out there, including your general practitioner, the GPs, that can guide you to help, because nothing is unsalvageable. I've learnt that from the forces. There's nothing that's impossible. You
Yeah.
can achieve anything. And sometimes the hardest thing to do is raise that hand
Yeah.
and say, look, I need some help. I need support.
Yeah.
And the ones closest to you, you know, your partners, your family, your friends, not just your work colleagues, they're there for you. Believe me,
Yeah.
trust me. To raise the hand and do something about it
Yeah.
is powerful, brave, and you can put in a course of action to do something about it.
Yeah.
But nothing is unsurmountable.
Yeah. So next question is life now. You had a full career, a lot of life experiences. Was there a difficult transition leaving the military, and what keeps you busy day to day now? And how does Paul go about his day to day?
That's a brilliant question.
Because you had being in the military, like you said, just from the age of 18, there's a lot going on. It's not a normal life what everybody else lives, and then you have to leave that, come back to the normal civilian life, which is not easy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, how do you?
Really timely question.
Yeah.
So I found it extremely difficult to transition from the military into civilian life.
Yeah.
It hasn't taken me a year. I would say it's taken me several years to, acclimatise
Yeah.
and get myself into what I consider now a stable life.
Yeah.
Having been in the military for 32 years, I was kind of institutionalised because everything was laid on the plate for me.
Yeah.
Even though you had to career manage your own career,
Yeah.
all the support was there: medical, dental, administration, logistics, clothing, transport. All logistical elements was there for you. You didn't want for nothing really, and depending how you applied yourself, then you could really, really exploit all that support. But as soon as you walk through the door for the final time and hand in your identity card, that stops.
Yeah.
That stops, bar you getting an income from your pension. But if you've only done 3 or 4 years, then that isn't going to be a significant pension.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you're coming into the civilian way of life, and it's different. And I'll come on to values and standards at the end of probably this interview. But ultimately, that values and standards sort of ethos within the armed forces that you're used to, and it's part or become part of your DNA, has gone.
Because everyone there is almost sort of like-minded.
Well, to a certain degree, yes, they are, because you're there as a collaborative unit.
Different people, but still, yeah.
Exactly, you've got to work together.
Together.
You've got to what I call it a command aim. You've got a common purpose that you are all working to.
Yeah.
So when you come into the civilian sector, then sometimes the strategy, the direction, the communication that an employer's company or an employer themselves isn't as clear cut. It isn't set, so it's very, very difficult to follow what's needed.
Yeah.
And plus, the simple mundane things of setting up your bank accounts, your council tax payments, your trials and tribulations that you're going to encounter, road, all these logistical elements of taxing your car and so forth. You're not used to it, and all of a sudden you're faced with it. You've got to have to deal with it. So at pace, you're right in the deep end a little bit, trying to transition, acclimatise, and get yourself on your feet. And invariably, it's not the individual that suffers; it's the people around that said individual that suffer. The partners, the family, the friends. There's dark moments, there's dark times. There could have been occurrences that have happened in the military that have kick-started post-traumatic stress disorder. Yeah. There's elements that will have a bearing on how you cope and deal with having left the military. Yeah. And I'd like to say that it took me several years, even 10 years, to come to where I am now. When I left the armed forces, I went into consulting.
Yeah.
So I sort of imparted my knowledge, experience into the public sector of the Ministry of Defence, trying to make things better for the armed forces in the front end, applying that experience, sifting through and advising on better ways of doing supply chain management and optimizing inventory and warehouse management and all that. And that was fine, but it, as I say, for the said reasons that I've sort of highlighted, it took me a while to adapt, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
But now, in parallel, I sort of got myself qualified into level 3 personal training.
Yeah.
And that is kind of similar to consulting, to be fair. So the sort of trade of becoming a consultant, having left the Navy, and sort of become a personal trainer at the same time, now it's standing me in good stead, because I'm now going to refocus myself on becoming a solid personal trainer once again, having done it as a part-time venture, if you like.
Yeah.
So I'm now in a position to actually convey that strong nutritional wellness message.
Brilliant. Yeah, love that. Okay. So you always come across as very positive. What drives that mindset? And has that always been you, or did you have to work on that? Yeah.
I go back to the people. It's having the connection with people. It's understanding
because
people.
First of all, sorry to interrupt you. Like, your positivity is not normal. It's like you.
Yeah.
When I'm working and you come and say hello and then you leave, every time whoever's in the chair, like, who is this guy? He's, you know.
Yeah.
You're full power, full battery always.
Yeah.
And it would be really beneficial if you could tell us how you keep yourself there. And I know you have problems. I know you have things going on plenty, just like everybody else. But yeah, if you could share how, a little secret, it'll be good for anybody who's listening. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to start with, I think I might have touched on it earlier in the sort of interview or the podcast, and that is, we're breathing. You've already won the lottery of life, right? And sometimes we take that for granted.
Yeah.
We're on the earth, we're above ground, whatever you want to call it, whatever cliche you want to touch on, we're here. You've got to make the most of it. And this is another cliche, life is short. Well, it is. So you've got to maximise. You've got to maximise on your life. So you can be downbeat, you can be negative, but I tell you what, it's going to sap your energy. It's going to sap your motivation. So you've got two choices. You can either continue on the negative pathway, or you can take the positive pathway.
Yeah.
And the positive pathway is a better pathway. One, it'll keep you energized, keep you motivated, and you'll get things done, because that's what it's done for me. Now, it wasn't always the case, but as you sort of go down the path and got an open mind to growing that mindset and learning from experiences, you can call that a scientific sort of approach, if you like, you're going to progress.
Yeah.
Nobody's got all the answers. Nobody can sort of provide you with the right action to take. You've got to find out for yourself, and you've got to glean the positives that instance or that life experience, what it's taught you, and then do something with it.
Yeah.
Actually apply it, and that way you're going to get things done, as I've sort of just touched on and repeated myself a little bit. But that's how I approach things now.
Yeah.
I didn't always have the answer.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, that positive sort of mindset, that open mindedness to actually accept and learn new stuff, which that in itself energizes you. Well, I've learned something new today.
Yeah.
That will generate its own positivity. Do you know what? I can apply that now. I've learned something new today. Whatever it is, the simplest of things. I've learned how to send the latest emoji, or send a screenshot, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it's powerful. And then you'll get the bug for learning other stuff. So being positive, open-minded enough to sort of grow yourself, it's a massive, massive tool, but it's a massive sort of pathway to follow.
Yeah.
So if you can convey that, you'll energize other people around you. It's like infectious.
Yeah.
It'll just generate more positivity. It's like walking down the high street, smile at somebody, instead of looking down or looking at your phone or listening to your sort of earphones, actually communicate with
I've
people.
never ever seen you
Downbeat.
but also on your phone,
Yeah.
like ever walking, and I see you every day.
Yeah.
Because this podcast is not just another number of episode we're trying to do. I'm genuinely interested in how you live your life, and if anybody else saw you in real life, they'll also understand why we're doing this interview, because you're that guy, so you live on this earth once. Be positive and try to learn new things.
So that is a lovely little segue, and that's coming from my consultant background, right? Lovely segue into being self-aware and being aware of your surroundings, right? So getting a reconnect to nature, taking a walk during your lunch break, breaking away from your laptop or your PC, getting into the fresh air, taking that fresh air, we're breathing it, you're alive, taking awareness in your surroundings, wildlife, birds in the sky, dogs in the street, cats, whatever it is, whatever animals, be aware. If you're down on your phone or listening to headphones, then you're going to miss out. You're not going to be connected to all these happenings around you. Now, I'm not saying, and being a sort of a person saying you mustn't be on your phone or not listen to headphones walking down the street. But for a moment, just park the mobile device, just park the digital elements, take a break from it, and just be aware of spatially what's around you. And speak to people. Now, everybody's busy and so forth, but you can always have a golden hour, a golden moment to actually reconnect with what's around you physically. And that'll stimulate you. That will stimulate your mind and actually refresh you to go back to work and whatever, and pick up a conversation with somebody else. And so forth. So that's why you won't see me very often on a mobile phone walking down the high street, looking down, eyes down, because ultimately I like to be one, aware of my surrounding, what's going on the high street, self-preservation if you like. I don't want to be run over or hit by a scooter, an e-scooter, or hit by a bicycle, or hit by a car or a bus, or a lorry, or young people scooting around nowadays. But it's more than that. It's actually just generally enjoying what's happening in and around me. They're a tool. Digital devices are a tool, and they're a powerful tool, and they're good. They make your life easy because what they give you back is time. But ultimately, there's time and places for it. So if you're one of those people that's in the gymnasium, hogging a piece of equipment, looking at your mobile phone, just think, let me be considerate, and go and look at your mobile phone off that piece of equipment. And that is an analogy, if you like, or a typical example. Break away from your mobile phone, enjoy your surroundings, speak to people, and be thankful for what's around you.
I agree. Okay, to the last question for today.
This week.
What do you wish you knew at 18? And what mistakes young people make over and over?
Bloody hell, that is a powerful, great question. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, isn't it? Do you know what? I would say I was quite fortunate with my upbringing, because I was sort of exposed to people from all walks of life, tradesmen, tradespeople, professional people, by means of them coming into my father's pub. So what I'll say is that you can learn a lot from everybody that's around you. So connect with those people around you. I wish I'd probably done a little bit more along the way. I grasped it quite quickly, but I could have learned so much more from probably the older, more experienced generation. So that way there, these older people from an old generation, they've experienced trials and tribulations. I'll go back to the learning from experience. So, glean that golden nugget information to actually help propel your life further forward. So I wish I'd done a little bit more of that, actually listening to the old and bold sort of service people.
We've all made that mistake.
it's a common mistake, but
common mistake.
I'll go back to the role model sort of piece, if you like. At the end of the day, there's always somebody that can help guide you, whether it's a coach or mentor, whether it's at the youth club, whether it's at school.
Yeah.
Powerful place, school, teachers, hardest job in the world, I hasten to add, the teachers this day and age and so forth. But listen to what they're saying and sort of telling you, because ultimately they've done it. They're living the lives. They're accustomed to the world of work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for me personally, I had that open mindset. But for those out there, listen to this podcast. Listen to your coaches, listen to your teachers, listen to your parents.
Listen to your parents.
Listen to your family, your friends, your partners, because invariably you'll vent to your partner, but listen to him, because there's always something you can learn, as we've touched on through the podcast.
Yeah, I agree. So one, I mean, you gave so many messages in this podcast, so I don't want to say give us your last message, but anything else you want to add to all of this?
It's all about values. It's all about respect. All about your courage, being self-aware enough to recognise when you're not right. Nobody's infallible. You don't always get it right. You don't. But live by your values, live by your standards, live by your ethos. It gets things done. And then, the younger generation will consider you a bit of a role model when you're working with close contact with people.
So young people, whatever it is, stick to it.
Yes, stick to it.
Don't give up.
Never give up. It's a great thing. It's too easy to give up maybe nowadays. But actually stick in with it, because whether you fail, it's not a failure. It's a learning from experience.
Yeah.
That's it. Don't consider it a failure.
You only lose when you give up.
Exactly. Just don't give it up. And if you've got a vision, you've got a strategy that you believe in, do you know what? Follow it. Follow it. Something's telling you. There's an inner sixth sense within us all, and it's telling you to follow that direction. Never give up. You look at the likes of Arnie Schwarzenegger. He was adamant he was going to go and make it in America. He had countless knockbacks, but he stuck to his plan. There was no plan B.
Yeah.
As a case and example, he followed it, and the rest is history.
Yeah, there's so many stories like that in sports, and
and that's it. Follow your destiny. But in order for that to happen, you've got to have values, you've got to have standards, you've got to have an open-mindedness and a dogged determination and a grit to make it happen. You've just got, that's it. It's called hard graft.
Good old grit.
Good old grit. Nothing happens by accident. Good hard graft and grit and work, hard work. If you're determined enough and you want it bad enough, guess what? You'll get it.
Yeah.
You will get it, and values will stand you in good stead. Yeah. And, I've got 12 values. Respect is at the top. Yeah. Excellence is at the bottom of it. With anything that you do, aim to be excellent. Just give the best that you can, and you won't go far wrong.
Amazing.
And being courageous, being committed in amongst that, show loyalty and dignity and integrity along the way. Be honest, be transparent. I could list 100 of them, but just
try and do 5 of these.
Yeah, fair one.
And then and stick to it. Brilliant. This was great. I'm glad we did this, and I'm sure we'll do this again. Thank you so much, Paul. This was a pleasure.
Thank you, Seth. And thank you for the haircut. A cracking haircut at that.
Thank you very much.
Amazing.
Boom.